Okay, so I guess we can start the presentation. Thank you for saving some time, previous presenter. Appreciate that. So my name is Genadijus Sokolovas. Everybody calls me Dr. G in US, working at Olympic Training Center. And I was director of sports science and physiology for USA Swimming for many years. And we tested thousands of swimmers. One of the most popular tests that we developed in the last several years is so-called swim power test. And I want to present this test, explain what kind of benefits your swimmers can get, as well as what coaches can learn from this test, especially since we are gonna offer this test free of charge for all swimmers here at the World Championship. And thank you for FINA allowing to do that, and that will be actually free of charge for swimmers who are universality, correct swimmers, who don't have qualifying times. And I think there are like more than 100 of countries who are doing that. We did the same thing already starting from 2011. Every World Championship, we're coming and helping swimmers and coaches. We have great feedback, and who already use that, heard my presentations. I'm sure you will learn every time you're coming and testing your swimmers. So let's start with explaining what is this test about. So you see me sitting at the pool deck with Coach David Marsh, who is one of Olympic head coach for USA Swimming, was in 2016 in the Olympics, and we're testing his swimmers, looking what I'm trying to quantify swimming technique. So swim power test collects information such as velocity and force in real time, 60 times per second. And this velocity and force is measured at every given point of the swimming cycle. So we can tell how fast you're swimming at the beginning, in the middle, at the end of the stroke, are you losing speed, when you're losing speed, and many other things. And I'll show you the videos where you can see better. Just explain you a little bit differences between velocity and force. We analyzed a lot of force, a lot of velocity, and we came up with a clear understanding that force is not the major factor, because force doesn't change a lot when you're swimming, since it depends a lot on your body mass, it depends on momentum, and it doesn't change quickly. Whenever you have mistake, you not necessarily can see in the force changes. However, in the velocity, you will see the change very quickly. And that's why when we're analyzing stroke, we're more relying on the velocity than on force. Test is relatively short. We're doing the test 3 positions for each stroke. Duration every test is about 18 to 20 meters, so it's relatively short. You can swim 25 meters if you want, but normally several cycles of swimming is enough to understand what is your mistake, because cycles are repetitive. You're doing the same cycle multiple times when you're swimming. As a result, if you see several cycles, you can see the mistakes already. Where are mistakes in the stroke? And in order to analyze better, we are using a slightly different methodology than anybody else in the world. We're using separate testing: pull, kick, and swim. 3 different tests. And I'll explain you why we're doing that. If you're doing full body swim and looking for swimming technique mistakes with velocity curve, it's hard to understand where velocity coming from. For example, some mistakes might be hidden by kick. Let's say you have mistake at the beginning of the stroke, your swimmer pulls, but if athlete is kicking at the same time, you will not see this mistake. You will see a spike of the velocity, and as a result, you will not identify the mistake. Might be critical for your swimmer to improve your stroke. Or other situation, there might be phases, if you're full body swimming, there are phases between the kicks, like I say, freestyle or backstroke kick. And if you're between kicks, you're obviously losing the velocity at that time. And you may think, oh, that's mistake in the stroke technique. No, that's not mistake in the stroke technique. If you're testing pulling, then you will see that there is no mistake. So that's why it's important separate pull. You can identify then mistakes in the pull at every phase. Differences between left and right arm strokes. And separate kick again. If you're doing separate kick, you can see differences between your left and right kick. You can see differences between down and up kick in a dolphin kicks. And also you can see how much your athletes losing speed when they bending knees, maybe too much bending knees, too much loss of the speed, or any other things. And once you understand pull and kick mistakes, it's much easier to analyze full body swim, where you can look combination if athletes are combining well pull and kick in a full body swim. So in general, filming is done within 10 minutes to test athlete. And obviously, then follows analysis, which can take between 10 and 20 minutes, depending on number of mistakes and depending what athletes need to focus on. It's important also to emphasize that without database, you cannot analyze anything. If you don't have database, you don't know how top swimmers swimming in the world, you will not understand where are the mistakes. You may think, oh, I'm swimming, I'm losing speed at this phase, maybe that's a mistake. But maybe you have to lose the speed at this phase in order to have better propulsion later, okay? Or how you're looking relative to top swimmers in the world. So we already tested 55 Olympic champions in this particular test, including obviously mostly US athletes, which we are testing at Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. When they're coming for the camps, like Michael Phelps, Katie Ledecky, Ryan Lochte, Nathan Adrian, Simone Manuel, Natalie Coughlin, and many others. And besides them, we also tested quite a few foreign athletes as well, elite-level athletes, which also great swimmers. And the more you're testing, the more database you have, the better you can provide feedback to other athletes, how to swim faster. Let's say at this phase, my swimmer is 70% from Michael Phelps. At this phase, only 30% from Michael Phelps, okay? At next phase, he is as Michael Phelps, or maybe even faster. Maybe some phases, some swimmers are doing better than Michael Phelps, okay? So as a result, then you identify what is the weakness. And once you know the weakness, you can target weakness, developing customized drills for every individual swimmer. More than 80 Olympic medalists have been tested, and about 10,000 swimmers have been tested already from 125 countries. So such a big database, I don't think that anybody in the world has larger database than we have. And that's unique information that we're happy to share with you coaches here at the World Championship. So what kind of analysis we are doing? Analyzing swim power test, the first step is identify strengths and weaknesses for each swimmer based on the changes of the velocity during the swim cycle. So once you know that, okay, you are really good in the middle of the stroke, very good at the finish of the stroke, but not as good at the end of the stroke, that's probably your weakness. And then we are developing drills, telling to athletes and coaches what kind of drills they need to do. Or other example, swimmers have not good breathing technique, okay? If somebody tells me, your breathing technique or my breathing technique is not good, then my question would be, what phase of the breathing? Is it at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of the breathing? Because these are three different mistakes. You cannot tell just your breathing is not correct. You need to tell what phase of the breathing is not correct. And then once you know what phase of the breathing is not correct, we can select right drills for you to do. And with technology that we are using in the swim power test, we can identify exactly, is it the beginning, middle, or end of the breathing not correct, and how to fix that. Next thing, the second step is detailed analysis of swimming technique by comparing individual results with elite level swimmers. As I mentioned before, maybe at some phases I am better than Michael Phelps, okay? But that's very short phase of the stroke. Then other phases, I'm not as good. So therefore, by identifying what you need to work on is very important. And we can tell exactly what kind of phase you need to focus first, what you can gain the most by fixing the mistake. If you're fixing small mistakes, sometimes it's not necessarily you will be improving a lot, but if you're fixing a large mistake, which we can identify with this test, you will improve it more and faster. And the third step is developing customized swimming drills to improve weakness. And obviously, you want to maintain strengths as well. So these drills are really unique, and in the last 5-6 years, we developed hundreds of different drills for every individual, for athletes, for every mistake that they're doing. And you can use multiple drills, and when you'll give feedback after the tests during the World Championship, So you can use these drills with your athletes, and like from my experience working with swimmers at the World Championships, some of them coming on the first day testing, then they're racing after that, they're trapping already significant times, especially swimmers who are not at high level. Obviously, if you are high level swimmers, you will not drop as much, less, but still every improvement is important. So let's look what kind of answer swim power test can give you. The mistakes at different phases of the stroke can be answered these questions. Am I losing speed at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of the stroke? And again, if you want to know where you're losing exactly the speed and how much you're losing for how long, you can make the change by introducing different drills or also changing different body positions or some other stuff. How much and for how long I'm losing speed at various phases of the stroke. Again, beginning, middle, or end of the stroke. Breathing mistakes. Am I losing speed during the breathing cycle in general? Okay. Am I losing speed at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of the breathing cycle? And how much, again, I'm losing speed during the breathing cycle? Maybe speed loss was very, very small, not necessarily to focus on this phase of my stroke. Maybe I need to focus on some other phases. And once we know this information, so we can, then athletes can work on the drills and improving. So I'll just show before going further, we'll show some videos so you can see exactly how athletes losing the speed. This is one of Olympic champion, great swimmer obviously, but nobody swims without mistakes. Everybody is doing some mistakes. So on the bottom, as you see here, is the velocity curve, which moves from right to left. So and green line in the middle, vertical green line, is synchronous with the video. For example, if I stop the video right here, this swimmer is finishing stroke with the left arm right here and reaching the peak 199 meters per second. Okay? And then happens the breathing cycle. Speed starts to drop down very sharply. And at the end of the breathing, speed drops down to 1.11 meters per second. Okay? So he is obviously losing speed during the breathing cycle. Some people may tell, oh, you always will be losing speed. No, that's not correct. There are swimmers who are not losing speed at even at age groups and elite level as well. So you can go again, look, every time speed drops, right here you see, 111. During the breathing cycle, speed continues to drop. Again, 111 meters per second. Very significant drop of the speed. If this swimmer would fix this mistake, he's already Olympic champion. He would break probably world records and would be swimming much, much faster. Okay? So now let's analyze what happens over here. How he is losing the speed over here. So first thing, when he is right before the breathing, you see head disappears from underwater, which means he is slightly lifting the head above the water. If you're lifting the head above the water, obviously you'll be creating more drag, and head is heavy, you're losing power a little bit. So your hips going slightly down, that's what creates drag. Also, in order to lift your head above the water, you will be using your arm in front to press the water a little bit down. You're pressing water down, head goes a little bit up, and you are not pulling with this arm, you're just balancing. You're trying to lift your head above the water. And as I told, this is great swimmer, great technique. But at the same time, nobody is perfect. Everybody can improve. That's a beginning of the stroke mistake. Because you see, speed starts to drop, beginning of the breathing mistake. Because speed starts to drop right at the beginning of the breathing. He obviously continued to drop the speed towards the end, but mistakes started at the beginning of the stroke. And we can, again, develop customized drills for each individual athlete. I will show some drills at the end. You can see how drills are forcing athletes to do correct stroke. So all the drills we're developing are forcing athletes to do stroke correctly. So let's look at another swimmer, also world record holder. Okay, let's see how she is swimming. She is reaching left arm stroke, 194. Okay, then right arm stroke peak, 184. 0.1 meter per second difference. That's a pretty significant difference. And if this swimmer would swim in outdoor, let's say open water swim, would be always drifting to one side. And most likely at the pool as well, would be drifting a little bit to one side. So you need to be more balanced with your arms. And as a result, again, we can develop different drills, tell how to swim, athletes need to swim, what kind of sets need to be done in order to fix this mistake. There are a few other mistakes that every swimmer is doing, every elite level swimmer is doing as well. There are plenty of mistakes. But mistakes for elite level swimmers are always smaller. Age group swimmers, sometimes obvious mistakes. You don't need even to test. You can see mistakes already, right away. So let's go back to the presentation. So next type of mistakes, underwater. So we heard presentation of Bob Bauman and some other top coaches, and a lot of coaches emphasizing that underwater is so important. Yes, underwater is important, but at the same time, if you're testing underwater swim power test with us, you will know exactly where your athletes are doing mistakes. So questions that can be answered during underwater test is your down kick stronger than your up kick? Okay. We know that there are down kick and up kick as well. I remember back probably 5-6 years ago, I did presentation for American Swim Coaches Conference, and Ernie McGlisko, famous coach, and wrote many books on swimming, many recommendations on the swimming technique and other stuff. When he looked at my presentation, he came to me after that. This is first time I learned that there is an up kick. Okay, there is not only down kick. Your swimmers should emphasize not only down kick, but also up kick. In fact, based on our studies, you will be improving faster if you will be emphasizing more up kick than down kick. Down kick will always happen because our knees are designed to kick down, but our knees are not designed to kick up. That's why sometimes athletes overemphasizing down kick and losing too much on the up kick. So it should be good balance, and I'll show you some videos to explain that a little bit later. So next question can be answered during underwater filming, underwater kick filming. Am I bending knees too much during underwater kick? How much and for how long I'm losing speed in transition between your up kick and down kick? Transition has to be very fast. That's where you athletes losing speeds. If you are bending too slowly, too long, too much, you'll be losing too much speed. Next questions can be answered if you're staying too long underwater. For example, if your speed drops already below your swimming velocity, why you need to stay underwater? You probably need to improve underwater to keep higher speed for a longer time. But some swimmers staying too long underwater, and their speed below their swimming velocity already. You have to go on the surface and swim earlier, break out the surface earlier. And how long should you stay? And when your speed drops below your average speed, as I told, that's also another question. Also, after dives and turns can be answered as well. So all these questions are obviously important for coaches and athletes, and that's why by testing, we can tell you exactly where you need to break the surface and what you need to change during the underwater kick. So before going again further, I want to show again some videos through underwater. Again, some top swimmers in the world. I will just explain how they're doing underwater. So this swimmer is swimming, you see, bending knees. Okay, speed drops to 126 when she is bending the knees. Then she kicks down, speed increase to 1.7. Then very small kick, very small time of transition from down to up kick. And up kick is stronger than down kick. This is great kicking technique. Yeah. So this is great kicking technique because swimmer can kick stronger than up kick than down kick. That's what I'm looking for. If you can, your swimmers could kick stronger up kick than down kick, that's really, really good. Okay. So let's look briefly another swimmer who is also one of elite level swimmer. You can look here. So this swimmer has very strong down kick. You see 1.5 down kick, up kick is only 116. This swimmer overemphasizes down kick. You don't need to emphasize down kick. Emphasize better up kick. All right, so it looks like my time is running out very quickly. I'll just maybe show you guys some videos, how to fix different mistakes, different drills. So this is one of the video. Athlete is swimming one arm stroke and keeping other arm at the side. If you're keeping arm at the side, you're not leaning on the arm. You're leaning more on center mass. And you have to breathe towards the arm stroke. I saw a lot of coaches doing the stroke drills when pressing arm down and breathing to opposite side. I don't think it's a good drill, because then you're teaching your athletes to lean on the arm and breathe at the same time. You have to learn how to breathe without arms. Keeping arm at the side and breathe to the stroke arm. That's a really good drill which will help you, your athletes, to feel better balance when body is rotating from one side to other side. So other examples of the drills. Also great drill, keeping one arm underwater on the side and other arm above the surface. You're moving up, forward, and back. Really tight the body. You're tightening the body. And if you know, all fast creatures like fish, dolphins underwater, in the water, they're really tight in the body. And no creature has arms in the water. That's why fish and dolphins are really fast in the water. And in my opinion, we are teaching sometimes wrong technique if we are allowing to use arms to press the water down. You need to teach first athletes how to keep good balance in the water before using the arms. So I'll probably stop right here. Just will show quickly the last slide, which gives you information more how to sign for the tests. And I'll tell you as well, so you can go on the website and sign by emailing to us at the email address on the screen, or you can go for the team leaders meeting, which will be held tomorrow, as well as you can sign at the warm-up pool during the competition. So whenever you want your athletes to sign, just come tell us how many athletes you want to test, how many strokes, and also what day and what time you can come. Thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.